Don't you love it when you come out to applause and you haven't done anything yet?
Wait. Do it. Start it again. Do the applause. And raise it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. A little more. Yeah. Shut up. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh my god!
Wake up!
Welcome to this is the kind of energy that we're bringing right now. This is our second time recording this podcast. The first time it did not record.
No, it did not.
That's what we call a rookie mistake.
Somebody learned how to check the firmware on their little handy duty recorder.
It's like this is only our second episode, but it is. So
Shocking.
welcome everyone to Pop Culture Redemption's second episode. And the applause happens again.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh.
Yep, that's how this is gonna go, folks. This is perfect. All right, well, I'm Connor.
I'm Jacob.
I'm Jordan Summers, and I'm the superstar. Yeah, it's not as funny the second time.
And we are
and
we are one white guy short of Mount Rushmore.
Yes, we are.
So here we are. Again, Pop Culture Redemption. We're just here to have conversation about some different things in pop culture. We like to work through movies right now. Just helping the church, capital C church, have a better vision for God's work in pop
Capital
culture.
C church, that means the church as a whole. Every
Big church. Big
in
church.
the world.
That's right. Church
together.
of Jesus Christ. Yep.
Yes.
That's right. So today, as Jordan's intro alluded to, we are covering the Super Mario Brothers movie together.
Oh,
So
we are?
We are.
That's not the movie I watched.
Oh, shoot.
Now, he watched the live action Super Mario Brothers,
To
right?
the Mario, swing your arms from side to side. That's
Is that from the live action movie?
no, it's actually from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show from the 1980s.
There's a show?
There was a show.
All right. Well, this movie released on April 5th of this year, 2023. And it actually, I was surprised to learn it's the second largest box office movie of this year so far. It ended up grossing $575 million domestically and $1.4 billion with a B, $1 billion.
That's insane.
Worldwide.
$1 billion.
Billion.
Wait, so who was the first?
Who's the first what?
Who?
$1 billion.
Super Mario. This movie is the second highest, right?
Oh, Barbie.
Of course.
Barbie. Anyways.
That's insane.
I'm a Barbie girl.
This
Woohoo!
movie, the Super Mario Brothers, has a loaded cast. So some cast members include Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, Jack Black, Seth Rogen, Keegan-Michael Key, and Fred Armisen are some of the well-known.
There's like three
Yeah.
names in there, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's loaded.
Who do you think did the best job?
Oh, that's a great question. Jack Black.
Yeah,
Jack
I agree.
Black.
Yeah, the
100% Jack Black.
Peaches song really just
That
brought it
just-
home.
Yeah. Well, in whenever there was the scene like where it's zooming in to before I continue, obviously it's a movie it's a pop culture podcast. We're gonna talk about something. Imagine spoilers, like
Right.
If you haven't watched the movie, you've done something wrong.
Yeah, pause this and go watch the movie and then
Yes.
come back to this chaos.
Unless you're cool with spoilers and you're looking for a reason to like it or a reason to go watch it, in which case, listen on knowing that you're going to get the crap spoiled out of this movie.
We're glad you're here.
We are glad you're here. Thanks for listening. What was I talking about?
I don't remember.
Something
All right,
about
well-
zooming out into something with Bowser.
Oh, yeah. So it was zooming in to, yeah. So when it was introducing Bowser or whenever, there was some Bowser scene. Oh yeah. It was right after he got the star. It was like the second scene with him where it was like zooming in and there's hard rock and like metal stuff playing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, this is fitting for Jack Black Bowser. I love it.
Oh yeah, it was right
Yeah.
after they got the star.
Yeah.
And he's
yeah.
like giving this hype speech,
The
and then
big
he's
party,
like, and
yeah.
now I'm gonna go marry Princess Peach. And they're like, yeah, they're like, what?
What if she says no?
All right. Well, as we go through today's episode, one of the things that we did in the first episode that we're not going to rehash is we played our first ever game of Uncultured Swine. So Uncultured Swine is a trivia game that we're going to play together, and it just it's going to test who knows the most about this particular movie, like a trivia game related to
We
it.
would have done it again, but we'd have to find all new questions. All you guys need to know is we have our swine.
And it's me.
It's Connor.
It's me. Connor with a capital C. I am the first uncultured swine. I lost. Jake beat me.
By one.
Jordan is our actually is our resident gamer. So he came up with a lot of great questions and just peppered Jake and I, and we got like none of them, but Jake ended up getting one more than none.
Absolutely.
And one. So congratulations to Jake.
5. Sorry, I was making a Resident Evil joke. That was
That's a deep cut.
We will also try to get we have a recording of this version of Uncultured Swine, but it's with using phone audio, so it's not really going to be the best. We will try to get that up on our YouTube channel once we make our YouTube channel.
It will be in the show notes once we create the show. All right. So we are going to jump over that point, and we're going to jump right into our main outline, which is...
okay, let me just...
Oh, wait, that's kind of Blue Clue. That's it. That's what I was looking for. I did like a Blues Clues thing instead of the... It's what I ended up doing.
Nice. Nice.
Ba-pow! Yeah, anyways. There you go. This is not a Blues Clues episode. This is a Super Mario Brothers. Memory. All right. Anyways, our main outline for the show that we've been working with is kind of 3 R's. So we move through just looking at, again, how is Jesus kind of either at work or being pointed to through this movie that we're reviewing. And the 3 R's are, first, we're going to talk about rejoice. So what's one thing from the movie that we rejoice as, we're using Philippians 4:8, as true, noble, as right, as pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, or praiseworthy. And then we're going to move into the segment of reject. So what's some things from this movie that we just kind of name as either not being true or being not good, or it could be an ideology, it could be a line of reasoning or thinking, it could be a scene, a character, it could be anything. So we just kind of unpack what are some of the things that we don't really agree with, or we didn't think were good ways, good things. And then the last segment is redeem. So this is the whole point of the podcast. What part of the movie was so obviously influenced by Christ, or so obviously is pointing us to Christ, that it would be a natural bridge point for us to engage with culture, to engage with our friends, with people in society, with the message of the gospel. And so that's kind of our outline for today. So we're going to start with rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say, no, Israel Houghton. Again, I say rejoice. No. Oh, it's really good. Anyways, so rejoice. Either one of you guys want to kick us off?
Okay, sure. Yeah, so there's so much of this movie that I can just praise for days. Mm-hmm. This is just a really, really well-made movie. So I'll start with that. And it's a well-made, unpoliticized movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which is rare.
It is very, especially right now. I mean, with as divisive politics have become, it's just really unfortunate because it's just leaking out in all of our media. I mean, the two like really big, like the really big song right now and the really big movie right now are both highly politicized, mm-hmm. or show or whatever. So it's just breath of fresh air that we can get really well told stories and everybody can just sit and watch and enjoy a great story without it having to have some sort of agenda about here's why my group is right and rally the troops, or this is why you're wrong and why you should feel bad or change your mind or something.
Yeah.
It's also just it's a well-made video game movie, which are few and far between.
Yeah.
It's also, I think this is the first completely 3D animated in-universe video game movie.
Okay.
That I at least I can't think of any others off the top of my head. Like Sonic. Sonic was live action. The Pokemon Detective Pikachu was live action.
About as live action as you can get when
Pac-Man
half the characters are
was
CGI.
Right. So
I forgot about Pac-Man.
Live action Lion King. Okay.
No, stop. Just stop. No, we don't. That doesn't exist.
When did they teach a lion how to talk?
But like I can't even think of anything that's been done really well. Any movies besides this. Like this is for me like the first really awesome video game movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of that's
Pilgrim?
That's not fully animated.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's the majority of that is live action. And it's a great movie, but I mean So that's it's nice that it's a great video game movie, but it's also a great video game movie that stays faithful to the source material. Looking at you, Halo TV series, while keeping things fresh, fun, and interesting. Yeah, don't get me started. I will shoot shots at the Halo series for the rest of my life. For me, the Halo. No, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, just keep.
Anyway, don't go down there.
I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. Maybe another time. But it sticks to the source material while keeping things fresh, fun, and interesting. Right? It doesn't get like boring. Like, oh yeah, I expected all the hits, and it was fun. It was just a good story. The other thing is the idea, and this is just a thread throughout the whole movie. It's the idea of overcoming adversity and not giving up. Even after throwing yourself at something and failing over and over and over again, which is like exactly what playing those games for the first time back, 80s, early 90s, late 90s, even early 2000s. That was the experience of playing those games, is that you sucked at it and you got it wrong and you failed and you missed the jump and you get hit by the plant, and you do it over and over and over again, and you just get a little bit better every time.
Kind of like what we're doing with this second recording.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I also had that down. I think that was either, if it's not the major theme of the movie, it's one of the major themes of the movie, as far as you keep going. You keep trying, even when you fail, when you get knocked down, you get back up, you keep going. The line that stuck out to me was after Mario figures out how to defeat Donkey Kong in that arena fight, when he was, clearly outmatched. Peach was like, well, you just don't know when to quit. And Mario kind of looked at her as, I never thought of that as a good thing. Like, because sometimes, when you think about, like, you just don't know when to quit, it can be like a negative kind of like thing, like you should stop, because this is not going well.
You know what's really funny about Mario fighting Donkey Kong and Mario fighting Bowser? Right at the beginning of the movie, when Mario is like defending Luigi, and Luigi's like, Mario, what are you doing? He's like way, way bigger than you. Like, you're like a quarter of his size.
Yeah.
Or you're like half his size. And then that's exactly what Mario does later in the movie.
Right.
That's exactly what the whole point of Mario, like, as the game.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think, like, it's just really biblical, like, as believers, as we're living life, is there's so much scripture about perseverance. Like, run the race marked out with us with perseverance.
Hebrews.
Right. Yep. Suffering produces perseverance character hope.
Consider it pure joy, my brothers, when you face trials.
Right.
James. Yeah.
And it's this idea, keep going, keep moving forward, empowered by the Spirit of the Lord, to overcome those obstacles, and just walk hand in hand with the Lord, and to rely on the Lord in those moments. So yeah, I really resonated with that. I think another thing I resonated with throughout this that I want to rejoice is when Peach realizes, Princess Peach and all the toads, just so many toads in that room, so many. When they realize that Bowser is coming, this is early in the movie, when they realize he's coming, he has the star, he's coming to conquer the Mushroom Kingdom. The initial thing that she does is, they're like, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do? And she's like, I'm going to go ask for help, right? Like, I'm going to go to the Kongs, to the Jungle Kingdom, and partner with them and get their army, and let's fight Bowser together, because we can't do it on our own. And I just really thought that was awesome. I think when we come into those times of challenge and trial and adversity, and it's really good to seek help, because I think oftentimes our initial reaction is, how am I going to figure this out? I don't want to, like, ask for help, right? In our pride, like, we're like, I don't want to ask for help. Her immediate response was, all right, I'm going to get, the really powerful and people that we're loosely friends with. Obviously, part of the struggle of the movie is getting them to agree to team up together. But her initial thing was like, I got to go ask for help. And I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that was good. No, now I'm starting to connect stuff too, out that we're recording this for the second time. I wonder how much of that is because she was raised by the entire kingdom. And so she kind of came in with nothing, having to ask for help. I mean, she said that one of her first memories was just showing up as a little kid. But so the thing that I kept seeing over and over again is the mentorship relationship between Peach and Mario. And I related a lot with Peach, I guess, because, she was not born into this, but basically, and she was raised in all of the culture and all of the, I guess, what the side scroll fighting, is that what the kind of video game this is called?
Side scroller.
Yeah, side scroller. Like, she knew everything. And I related to a lot to that because I grew up in the church.
Technically, it's a 2D platformer.
Oh, whatever. Close enough. No, but like I kept seeing this relationship between Peach and Mario as Peach being the person who kind of like, grew up in the church, knows the ropes, knows the songs, knows the prayers, knows the scriptures, and seeing somebody and helping somebody along who is just experiencing it for the first time. And I really enjoyed that. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. Jordan, did you have anything else you wanted to name as a rejoice? I mean, I'm sure you have a ton of stuff, but
yeah, I've got more stuff than I should start listing.
Well, you have maybe top two.
Oh, jeez.
I know. I did this last episode to him, and he had a similar response. 2. I've got like 30.
I had my phone out while I was watching the movie.
Here, you come to 2, and I got one that I want to name.
Lay it on us.
Listen, all right. So Luigi is like the best hype man ever.
He really is.
So Luigi's getting Bowser's interrogating Luigi about where Mario is because Bowser's learned that Mario is hanging out with Peach, and Bowser's really into Peach and wants to be with Peach, and Mario's hanging out with her. And so he's kind of trying to figure out where Mario is, but part of his questioning when he has Luigi and he's pulling his mustache whiskers or hairs is he kind of comes to ask him, he's like, one of the questions Bowser asks is, do princesses generally find him attractive? Because
only
he's
has
like
good taste.
That's right. Mario comes in with the only if they have good taste. And I was like, that is how you hype up your boy right there. So listen, guys, that's how we got to hype up each other right there.
Treat each other well, kings.
That's right.
Treat yourself and each other.
I was like, that's how you do it, Luigi. That's what I'm talking about. Coming in clutch and pressure. So I just really thought that was excellent. So good work.
Worthy of praise.
Good work, Luigi.
Everybody needs a wingman.
Everybody
like
needs.
Luigi.
That's right. That's right.
Did you find your 2?
Yeah, I think so. So one, just the sheer amount of references throughout this movie was amazing. If you're really deep into like the Mario games and know them pretty well, there's so many little things every scene.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's like watching Psych and knowing pop culture really well.
Pop culture.
Shout out to the show that we all love, Psych. It's
Yes.
available on Peacock and Amazon Prime. You should definitely give it a watch.
And Super Mario is also
the best.
available
Come
on
on,
Peacock.
son.
Oh yeah, that's right. Super Mario. We usually say that. Super Mario is available for streaming on Peacock.
Come on,
The
son.
other thing,
We are not sponsored by Peacock. Thank you.
Be
the
nice
other
though.
thing was the music. Like I love
so good.
It was really good.
you two just express at the same time exactly how I felt about all of the music in this movie. Because
Bowser playing his own theme music.
Da-na-na-na-na-na. Yeah, on the
Yes.
piano. He's like, come sit with me. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Bling,
But
bling,
see,
bling.
Okay. The music in this movie was a perfect depiction of Illumination's blend with Nintendo.
Illumination.
Because Illumination really brought out everything awesome about Nintendo and from the animation itself looked astounding. The visual humor was great. The little Easter eggs here and there were great, but like the music itself is just a perfect showcase of how you have Illumination, this more American company, and you have all this 80s rock music. And Take on Me, which is also music, also 80s, and then you have all of these beautifully done arrangements of all
the original Mario themes.
Of so many Nintendo songs and so many Mario songs done brilliantly well. Anyway, that's it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really like the music as well. And I noticed that a lot of these songs that are used in this movie are also in the Guardians movies. Which Chris Pratt
they like to follow Chris Pratt around.
Right. So when they're doing thunder, da, 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 when they're building the carts, I was like, that's a pretty cool scene. They got
So how about what I don't remember the name of the song, but it was like the intro credits to Guardians 2. It was playing on their clock radio at the very end of the movie.
What, the Mr. Blue Sky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Blue
Yeah,
Sky?
Blue Sky.
Okay.
Yeah, you said
Yeah, that
Mr.
one.
Brightside.
I did.
last time.
Yeah, I was thinking
I'm
that's
like,
a
wait a
different
second.
that's a different song.
Yeah.
Very different song.
That was a very amazing song.
It is really good, but
It is
very
not
different
Mr. Blue
Songs
song.
of the
Sky.
Galaxy.
Yep.
Mr. Blue
The
Sky.
last good thing that I want to name just as a quick passing
The
is,
only other good thing. There's nothing else good.
that's it. That's the
it.
only other good thing is the pack of wild Yoshis.
Yes.
That's all I wanted, a whole scene with them in it, but it wasn't there. Obviously Yoshi,
I mean, the end of the movie seems like they're
an
definitely gonna do
Easter
a
egg
Yoshi
at the
movie.
end. Huh?
I
Easter
waited
egg?
for the end of the credits there.
I'm proud of you. Proud of you. Yep.
Easter egg. Okay. I
Yeah,
just got
there it is.
Wow.
Yep. I wish Yoshi would have been in this movie.
Does that mean that
That's my
we're
only-
confirmed to get the next Mario movie around Easter?
That's what I'm wondering. There you
I'm
go.
just really hoping we get a Yoshi's Island movie off of this.
Yoshi.
I don't do a Yoshi very
All right, so we've set everybody up with the rejoice. We're in a
Feeling-
happy place
You
right
feeling
now,
good?
and we're gonna descend into rejection. So now we're gonna talk about what are some of the things in this movie that we reject, that we had some issues with, or that we just want to name as not really great things.
I reject that Bowser didn't get the girl. Okay.
Oh, there you go. Hot take.
kidding.
Wow.
Hot
Wow.
take.
Kidding.
There you go.
Clearly, he really loved her.
Look,
That's right. Yeah,
Look.
clearly.
Jack Black doesn't need any help. Let's be real.
Peaches, 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 peaches.
Dude, he had my heart.
He wrote her a song. I mean, jeez.
It's like
Oh.
the best way to win a girl, isn't it?
Not in my
I
experience.
don't think it hurts. All right.
You'd be wrong about
So
that.
the ridge does it really? Okay,
can.
It can backfire. Words of wisdom from some musicians here.
Can you
All
play,
right.
can you play the wah wah for me?
Oh, yeah, I
Just-
got you.
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
Just really
All right,
enjoying the side
Who
buttons
wants
on
to
my
kick off
recorder.
this rejection?
I guess I can go first
Oh,
since I
thanks,
went first
Jake.
last time.
Appreciate you.
So there was a line
Do
that they
it.
said that was between Mario and Luigi that they kept kind of like every time they were together, they've kind of said the movie, so which was really just the beginning and the end. But it was the we can't get hurt as long as we're together.
Mm.
You know what? It's fine. It's got like it seems nice, but honestly, I find that to be very naive.
Yeah.
It makes for a good story, but it's not realistic.
Mm.
Like it would have been better if we had said, as long as we're together, there's nothing we can't do, or we'll make it through, like, or something like this. It doesn't have to rhyme, I guess. But to say that we won't get hurt or we can't get hurt when we're together, I think that not only is it not true, but like or realistic, but it's also not like needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. The line is nothing can hurt us as long as we're together.
I don't buy it, and I don't think that I don't think that's the goal. I
Yeah.
don't like in a good relationship. I am gonna step on your toes, and you're gonna step on mine. We're gonna get in each other's way. We're gonna disagree. We can't ever get to a place where no one will ever hurt anyone. We've been trying for a very, very long time, and let's see, we've had 2 world wars and countless other wars across the history where people are killing each other and hurting each other just trying to get along.
Yeah.
So not only do I think it's not possible, but
Clearly, we need to get a short.
a what?
Nothing. Let's just keep moving on.
A short?
Yeah, because he said we can't get along, so let's get a short.
Oh gosh.
Oh my word!
Hit it. Do it. Do the thing. I meant the other one, but thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
I'm taking these buttons away. No, okay. So my whole point here
Yeah.
is in community, we're supposed to struggle and go through pain together. And so if we believe this lie that we're never supposed to get hurt when we're with the right people, then I think that we're going to end up finding ourselves very alone.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I mean, I've seen this. I've seen this with people where they go through one thing and it's like, okay, well, I had this one disagreement. We can never be friends again. Or I had a bad day at work. I can never work in this field again. But you're going to really limit yourself on friends and places you can work because there's going to be bad days no matter where you go or who you're with.
Yeah.
Jake, there's a really simple solution to this.
Never talk to anybody.
I won't have friends and I won't work.
At that point, my question is what's worth it anymore?
Right.
So that's my whole thing. It's very,
Yeah.
I have problems with that. And there's scripture even to back it up, because my mind immediately went to Philippians 1 towards the end, where it says that we are supposed to be standing together with one mind and purpose, fighting together for the faith, which is the good news. I think the other thing he might have wanted to say is fighting against each other, but also standing and fighting together. And he says later that we don't have just the privilege of trusting in Christ, but we also have the privilege of suffering for him. And he ends that chapter saying, we are all in this struggle together. You've
Right.
seen my struggle in my past, and you know that I'm still in the midst of it. I think that if we try to take pain out of the equation, we miss out on the beauty that is forgiveness and grace and growth.
There you go. This word brought to you by Jacob Petker. Well done. Jordan, do you have anything you want to name here?
Yeah. There's another kind of common thread throughout the movie of this really weird and really, in my opinion, bad idea of having to prove yourself. Mario had to try to prove himself to his dad, or Mario just didn't have a good relationship with his dad, and there was a sense of Mario having to prove himself. Then there was also the guy at the beginning that was like, oh look, it's the stupid Mario brothers, and Mario's, by the end of the movie, he's also trying, proving himself to him. So Mario's proving himself to that guy and winning his approval by becoming the hero. Wins his dad approval by becoming the hero. He wins his dad's approval. Donkey Kong, same thing. He wins his dad's approval by becoming the hero, by doing these great feats. Instead of and even Luigi, kind of, there's this kind of implication that he's proved himself at the end by getting past his fear. And I don't think them becoming heroes and overcoming their fears and all of that, and proving people wrong, I don't necessarily think any of that in and of itself is bad. But there's this weird idea that comes across. It's a
slippery slope.
Well, it's just this weird idea that comes across where it's like they have to prove their dignity and worth. Mm-hmm. And that's just not the case. We as human beings have value and dignity and worth because we are created in the image of God. Period. End of story.
Yeah. Right. And even with that though, too, you can try, and we've all been trying, but I think the thing is it will never be enough. You prove him right once, and the next time you feel like you have to do more, and the next time you have to do more. And all of a sudden it's like, you just have to do so much just to prove that you're worth living.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just, that idea of having to prove yourself, it doesn't sit well with me. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's helpful.
Yeah.
Relatable, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bowser too, even a little bit, trying to prove himself to Peach in weird ways and really horrible ways.
Right.
I'm gonna kill all of your close friends and relatives. Do you love me now?
As a gift.
As a gift.
Kill your
as a wedding
and
present.
family
Nice.
to remind them of my love.
This moment brought to you by Hamilton. Available on Disney Plus.
Oh dear. Anyway,
it's true. Well, that kind of leads into mine. One of mine that I had for reject was just recognizing in Bowser, right? It's like, oh, you're gonna reject the bad guy. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, real digging real
Classic.
deep there, Connor. No, but I want us to all consider and to reflect on what are the ways that we, like Bowser, lead out of insecurity and fear, and how when we lead out of those places. Right, when we operate like Bowser, we're trying to control people and circumstances, right? With anger and with power and with control, right? Because really we're not in control at all.
No, we're not.
As much as we do not like to admit that oftentimes. Thanks be to God that we're not in control, right? But at the other hand, in those moments, we're like, if only I could control this thing, right? If Peach doesn't love me, so I'm going to try to make her love me. How am I going to do that?
I'm going to take everything she loves.
Right. I'm going to get the star, then she'll love me. I'm gonna
take her kingdom.
Right. I'm gonna threaten to hurt her friends, and then she'll agree to marry me, and that's what I really want, and it's like, is that really what you want? Right. You probably just want some love, type of deal. But so I just want us to I had to reflect on, okay, when how do I operate in those times when I'm leading out of insecurity, when I'm leading out of those times of fear when I feel like things are falling apart and there's things I can't control that are just not going the way that I want them to. And I can either respond with patience and goodness and the fruit of the Spirit and in trusting that God is working all things out, right? Or I can respond in anger because I'm not in control.
Right.
I can respond with fear. I can respond by, I'm going to try to control even more the things that I can control so I can manipulate the outcome that I really want. And I thought about, right, in those moments, it's helpful to analyze, right, in 2 Timothy 1:7, it says we've not been given the spirit of fear, or some translations say spirit that makes us timid, right? But that gives us power, love, and self-discipline.
Well, so here's while you were saying that for the second time, I was actually processed it and thinking, like, I feel like that's a slippery slope. You don't ever really realize that you don't willingly make those choices. It just kind of happens and it's just a snowball effect that eventually you find yourself there. So maybe the good question is, how do you recognize when you start going down that route?
I think anytime I'm angry, I got to evaluate, because usually anger is either you're not in control and something's happening that you're not happy about. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because anger, I went to a counselor years ago. I had a counselor that said that anger is a secondary emotion.
Yeah.
It will never come from nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody's like, I got to work on my anger, it's like, oh, there's something a level deeper that you got to work on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's, yeah.
Well, one other thing that I think of is this may be harder to recognize, but I think for me, it's as soon as I stop considering the needs or the perspective of others.
Yeah, I get very self-centered or self-focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is easy to do because sometimes it's just because you're going through the thick of it and you've got so much that you're juggling and there's so much going wrong that you just don't have the capacity to think outside of yourself. But that's the moment where you need to the most.
And that's where being in community is really helpful.
Plug to our last episode.
Right. That's right.
Guardians of the Galaxy, otherwise known as Pop Cultured Redemption.
Pop. Anybody, did you have anything else on the reject theme that you wanted to hit on? I've got one other thing.
I just had the one thing.
You got the one thing?
Yeah, I just wrote
the one thing.
down, yeah.
Okay, the other thing that I wanted to hit, other than the fact that there weren't more Yoshis in this movie.
Unacceptable.
It was just rough because Yoshi is my favorite.
If there were more Yoshis, they'd probably be more Yoshis dying, though. Because of all the times that people just cast Yoshi into the lava or the abyss.
Yeah. Just yeet Yoshi off a cliff. Sad.
Yeechi.
But the other thing I wanted to reject is just the phrase, and I think we all know that this isn't a good thing, but I think sometimes in our lives we don't recognize this, is when Bowser, when he's like, I'm going to marry Princess Peach, and then his sidekick is like, but she hates you, she does not like you. And he's like, of course she hates me, but that makes me love her all the more. It was like, ugh. Because I've heard some people say something similar to that before about a romantic interest or something like that. Yeah, I know they don't like me, but the game, the cat and mouse game, or the playing hard to get, really, makes me want them even more. And you're like, I just reject that whole thing. I just don't think it's good.
This will. Yeah. I'll wait for this comment for whenever, because you bring this back up in the redeem part. I'll wait on that. I have a comment about that.
Yeah.
So
and then the blue star is just a bummer, but in a hilarious way, obviously. But here's my favorite:
is the sweet relief of death.
Yes. That's
do you know which game he's from?
I do not. No.
He's from Super Mario Galaxy.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, right. With he's Luma, right? Rosa and Luma.
I think he
Rosa,
might,
Luma, something like that.
Luma. I'm gonna look something up right quick. Luma.
So, anyways, some other top lines from the blue star in this movie: "Time, like hope, is an illusion."
We're already depressed enough.
And then at the very end, it's on the screen, after they go through the initial credits, and it's like, all that's left is you and infinite void, which I want to reject that phrase. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not true.
Yeah.
All that's left is Jesus. All right, y'all. Come on now.
Alpha and the Omega, beginning in the end.
Can I get an amen, church?
Amen.
Amen. Yes. Mm-hmm.
One day we'll be able to harmonize on that. It'll be fine.
Someday.
All
today.
right, moving into the third one. Yes,
Redeem.
Let's go into redeem. We're going to church, people.
We're going to church. Here you go. So again, redeem is one of the parts of this movie that are so obviously influenced by Christ, so obviously pointing us to Christ, so obviously Christian that it would be a natural bridge point for engaging the culture with the gospel. So Jake, you
I'm
first.
going first?
I know I asked the last 2 times, but this time you went first the last 2 times, so I just figured.
I didn't go first the last time.
I thought you said you did.
Just in the reject one.
Jordan's still looking up Blue Star facts, so we're
That's
going
fair.
to you, Jake.
Okay.
Go for it. I'm diving down a rabbit hole. Don't worry about me.
ADHD moment brought to you
there's-
by Jordan Summers.
Jordan Summers.
Anyway,
Okay. So I there was one single moment, and it was in like a frame at the very end of the movie that just really spoke to me, and it was the fact that in the very last scene, spoiler alert, in the very last scene, Mario and Luigi, they're getting up, they're getting ready, and before they head out the door, Luigi grabs his bag of tools. And they go out to grab the bag of tools, and they go out into the Mushroom Kingdom. And I loved that moment because my notes don't make sense. No, okay. So I loved this moment because to me, it spoke that like when somebody comes into a new relationship with Jesus for the first time, you don't have to purge everything from your life. That a lot of times there are things that you were doing that don't come into their fullness until you start this relationship with Christ. And that's something that speaks to me because it's the mission and the heart of the church that I work at as the worship pastor, where our mission is to unleashing new potential, new purpose in every individual through Jesus Christ. The whole point of this is that this church believes, Revolution believes that every single person has been given a purpose that is higher than them and God-given, but it cannot come into its fullness without relationship with Jesus. So what I loved was watching the beginning when they grab their tools and they don't even turn the water off to work on the sink, but they're just doing their best, and it is an absolute dumpster fire, and every single thing goes wrong.
Yeah.
But then finally at the end of the movie they realize, I know what to do with these tools now, and they go out into their new life using their old tools. I loved that. I thought
awesome.
that was to me, that was the big moment that really sold, like, this is what life can look like when you finally realize who and how you were made for.
Mm-hmm. Jordan, got to redeem?
I do.
Excellent.
And it has nothing to do with Luma. By the way, this character's name is Luma Lee.
Knew it was Luma.
Yeah. Anyway.
Illumination. Deep
Anyway.
cut.
Illuminati.
Luma was actually a deep cut in this movie. Anyway. Or Luma Lee, I should put. My redeem was it's actually really similar to the Guardians one that I gave. Shout out to our Guardians podcast. Go watch that one. Go listen to that one. Anyway, it's similar to it because it deepens my point that I think our culture is getting kind of tired of this lone wolf, live on your own narrative, do life on your own narrative that we've been steeped in for a long time. I mean, how many like action movie? I mean, John Wick, Taken, James Bond. What's the one with Denzel Washington? Equalizer.
Jason Bourne. How
many of these movies where it's all about the one lone wolf who can conquer the world with a single bullet and a pencil lead? Like
just don't kick his dog.
Don't kick his don't
kill his dog.
Don't step on his dog's chew toy.
Also, turn the water off before you work on the plumbing.
That'll preach. Anyway, so I think we're getting sick, and I think part of it too is just the loneliness crisis in the United States right now. Is that everybody's feeling more and more lonely, more and more alone, more and more like secluded.
Connor, what was that stat from Global?
58% of Americans feel lonely. Self-reported.
There was a study done. Yeah, there was a study done a couple this year. 58% of Americans struggle with loneliness.
Yep. And so I think that's showing up in media, and which is a really good thing that it's seeping into our art, that it's saying, okay, let's actually bind together. Let's come together. Let's do something about this. Let's live in community with each other, which I think is a really good and really healthy thing for the world to keep learning, and for us as believers to keep saying, hey, yeah, you're right. Community is good. Let us show you how we're doing it.
Yeah.
And let's, we've been saying this for a long time, that community, and we need each other, and iron sharpens iron, and we need to be around each other. So I think it's just a really good opportunity for the church to step in and I don't want to say demonstrate how it's done, because the church has been really bad at it for a while.
But let's help learn how to do this together.
But I also think here's an opportunity here's the playground to come and try this. Here's the space where you can actually step in and engage and have this community and see what it's like.
Well, I mean, that's like Acts 2:42 we talked about last episode a little bit, right?
Yeah.
They met together and they broke bread and they prayed together and they shared things together and they sold stuff to give to the poor, and
but
they had everything in common. And then it was like, that's the thing, because then it was like at the end of that passage, like, and the Lord added to their number daily.
Yeah.
Those are being saved, because that was like such a big deal, like, to people to see that and to see that mutual care and love and support.
That the church can even step into right now that we've been leaning away from for a little bit is that. So in that message, in that passage, which I'm definitely going to try to bring up on my handy dandy doodad right here. It says that it doesn't say that they met in the temple every day or it said that they met in the temple once a week, but that they met in each other's homes daily. Here we go. Where is it? All the believers devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to the fellowship, and to sharing in meals, including the Lord's Supper and to prayer. Deep sense of awe came over them, and the apostles performed many miraculous signs and wonders. All the believers met together in one place and shared everything they had. They sold their property and possessions and shared the money with those in need. They worshiped together at the temple. Okay, that does say each day, and then said met in their homes for the Lord's Supper. I think one thing that that our culture, or the enemy, has tricked the church into believing is that we only have to meet once a week. I think that is the best trick that Satan has pulled on the church, is that you just show up for 1 hour, you sing songs, you sit and be quiet and listen to a sermon, and you don't get to know the people sitting next to you.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's time for all of us, in the church or out of the church, to learn what community really means, because we're finally, like you're saying, Jordan, we're finally seeing how needed it is.
Yep. Yeah. And for me, I think a couple things that I really felt like pointed, at least me as I'm watching the movie, to Jesus or towards Jesus is, one, what I brought up at the reject is like Bowser, we're all insecure. Like, we're all afraid of stuff. Like,
why would you say that about me? Do you really think that I'm insecure?
Do I have to answer that? I don't think you're like more insecure than anybody else.
I think.
Does that make you feel better? I think
your hesitance. I think your hesitance to answer him shows your own insecurity.
I was just trying to come up with a clever quip, and it didn't really come. So, but when we operate out of our insecurities and fears, I think that like resonates with people. Like, as we look at the world and we see leaders or just people in general that even in like our places of work or in our community or in whatever, that are so controlling or so, have a lot of anger or bitterness or kind of that kind of stuff. Like it leads. It's like when I look at people as they age and they get older and you get closer and closer to death, right? To moving on.
Wow. Bummer.
Right. And as you get close to that point, like the difference between someone who is alive in Christ and the person who's not is so stark.
You're either full of joy in life,
that's right.
Or you're bitter and you're a step from death.
Right. And it's like, oh wow, that's a huge testimony, one, to God's goodness in those people's lives that know him and that walk with him. But two, it's such a signpost to where does our hope and our security lie? Is it in ourselves? Is it in our own lives, like on this earth, or is it in Christ?
Well, and with that, I was thinking about the comment you made during the reject with the, well, she hates you. Well, that just makes me love her more.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that is a sense of his own issues with self-worth.
Yeah.
Because that almost makes me think like, oh, wow, she hates me too. We must have so much in common.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know? Like,
Yeah.
because there was the line that he said, I was going to be so happy. Now you're going to suffer like I will.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
I wrote that down somewhere, but now I'm looking for it. I can't find it.
Nice.
You know,
there is.
go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah, you go.
Well, I was gonna say, I almost wonder if with that, like, her not wanting me almost just makes me wonder more. It makes me think of that kind of just like in the same direction of like just not having great self-worth. Of the fact that like I'll conquer this and it will prove that I have value and dignity and worth. Like if I can make this person
Yep.
who wants nothing to do with me, that's even more of a challenge, right?
Yeah.
I think the real challenge is being okay with yourself first.
I mean, if I were Bowser, I wouldn't be okay with myself.
I don't know, those spikes.
Giant spikes, yeah. I
Well,
mean,
it's
like,
pretty cool, man.
yeah, but could you imagine like having to take a shower and like you're drying off, you got the towel,
Dude, what
and you have
kind
to
of mattress
avoid.
do you think he has? That's like that he can't poke any holes in it.
Yeah, see, like I feel a little bad for Bowser now. This
I
ADHD
mean,
moment.
that's what I'm saying is that I'm not saying we feel bad for Bowser necessarily, but I'm saying that I can resonate with a lot of Bowser's issues. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah,
I can see it in my life or in other people's life. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm being a real Bowser right now. You know what I'm saying? Like operating under anger, control, like feeling like, because the one thing he wants most is Peach to love him, and that's like one of the things that none of us have control over.
we
Like
all
who
need
like
someone in our life
romantically or friendship wise
Yeah.
like loves us and cares for us. Is that's one thing we're like,
Connor,
yeah, they can't
Jordan,
out of
I
control.
love you guys.
Love
Me
you
too,
man.
man.
Appreciate you.
I think we all need someone in our life to tell us when we're being a little bit of a Bowser,
There you go.
a bit of
That's right, you're
a
being-
bit of a King
And I
Koopa.
think it's why I name it as a bridge to kind of talk about the gospel is I think that's something that people in culture
Right, it's
resonate
like,
with
what are
as
you looking
well.
for?
Right. And it's like, how do I deal with this need for control or feeling like I'm out of control? It's like, well, to trust in someone who is in control.
That's a part of the 12
and
step
who
process.
is good,
Yeah.
right? And who is faithful and who is merciful and who's the same yesterday, today, forever. Like he's consistent, and that's God, and that's
Yeah.
nobody else. Like you're not going to find that security in anybody else. You're not going to find it in your bank account. You're not going to find it in your career. You're not going to find it in your spouse. You're not going to find it in your kids. You're not going to find it in your parents. Nowhere else
Yeah.
are you going to find that kind of security than in.
Well, it's
Jesus.
accepting that
That's
you
it.
don't have control, because that's even like you go
Right.
to any 12 step process or like addiction process, and like one of the first steps that you have to admit in this process is that you do not have control of your life, and that you need to surrender control of that life to a higher authority, which the not faith-based ones will just say any higher authority, but
Right.
it's based on give it to the authority that is in Jesus.
Right.
That is in the power that we have been given through Jesus from God.
Yeah. And I think a similar thing for me that stuck out to me in this is, and Jake alluded to it earlier, is the bathroom overflowing scene, like really early in the movie, right? Where Mario and Luigi get called to their first job after their commercial.
Sorry,
And
I didn't mean to ruin that.
That's
for you.
okay. No, it's okay. And they walk in and, first they figure out, they fix it. And then the dog comes in, they have a scuffle with the dog. And then everything just starts to go wrong. Right. And everything's kind of flooding everywhere. And it just struck me that like they were trying to like plug, like Mario like saw the tile come up out of the floor, and his instinct was like to just like step down the tile, and then he's like, okay, fixed it. Like the water's not coming out of this pipe anymore. It's like, yes, it is. It's just under the floor where you like it's out of your sight now, and you're like, I'm not dealing with it. And so like dealing with like either surface level issues, talk about anger, like that's a symptom of a larger issue.
Yes, it is.
Like not stopping at the surface level pain and digging into the source, like that. Like, I think these guys are the worst plumbers ever. Because what do you do when you're going to work on something, even in your house, like
You
on the
turn
water?
off the
You turn the water off. And they didn't turn the water off. They didn't do the first thing you're supposed to do. Right? So, like, don't deal with the surface stuff. We got to get into the weeds.
Well,
You've
it's
got
funny
to
And,
because-
isolate
and get
the
to the
issue
root.
too, yeah.
Get the root of the problem. And that's real. That's a lot harder than, like, trimming the branches, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's exactly what they do 5 minutes later.
Yeah, with the flood in the streets.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They try
He's
to go
like,
in
oh,
and
wait,
Yeah.
I've learned my lesson.
That's
now.
right,
Let's
yeah.
go turn off the water.
So I just saw that and I thought, I think there's a really redeeming thing to consider in that like, all right, what are the ways that we're just plugging the holes but the ultimate problem is still there. Like we're just delaying
Dude,
the
with
inevitable.
that too, like you're never gonna be able to fix those surface level issues or fix the real problem until you isolate it and like look at it outside of yourself, which would normally come from having good friends, going to a counselor, or just
hiring a better plumber.
Yeah, hiring a better plumber. That
right.
also works too.
Right. And that's something that relationship with Christ is like crucial to that process. Because as you dig deep, you find out stuff about yourself that's not so great. Like you're like, oh, I'm kind of like more broken than I thought I was, and I already thought I was pretty broken.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if you don't have that like loving relationship with Jesus, who loves us, as we talked about last episode, as we are, he loves us as we are, not as we should be. That's a Brendan Manning quote.
Yet another plug to our first
that's
episode.
Right. You should listen to that one.
Out.
It just makes all the difference in the world as far as how you view yourself and your self-worth as you deal with your issues. Because if you don't have that anchor, then you're not going to deal with those real issues, because that's going to tell you something about yourself, that if your hope's in you and how good you are, like you're going to be like,
well, dude, this just
that's going to tank your self-worth. Like,
this just throws in the pride and the proving yourself issues too, because like, are you willing to see the parts of you that you don't know are there?
Yeah.
You willing to like open up the closet and dig out all the skeletons? Are you willing to see even the things that you didn't think was a problem?
Right.
Because I've dealt with like my house has had some plumbing issues that I would love to fix, but we'd have to like tear up the concrete to get to, and then replace the entire main line because they found a pretty sizable crack.
Yeah.
Like at this point, because it was functioning enough, I honestly wish that I hadn't had a plumber look at it.
Yeah.
We have to be willing to like, there has to be something. I don't know what it is. I may not even know what all it is, but you have to be willing to look at it.
Yeah.
Well, and you know how that starts?
How's that, Jordan?
To get past the surface level stuff and to really dig in deep and start figuring out what's actually going on inside of me right now. The way that starts is silence and boredom.
Oof. Don't say that too loudly. We'll get canceled.
Boredom.
Yeah. Turn off this podcast right now.
Right now.
That's good.
Yeah. I don't know who the original, the original person who said this was. It might have been Skye Jethani. It might not have been. But
knowing you, there's a good chance.
There's a very good
Jethani.
chance it was Skye. If it wasn't Skye, then there's a good chance that it was said by Skye and he was quoting someone else.
Yeah.
But silence, actually, boredom is a prerequisite to a relationship with God, and or it's a prerequisite to a communion with God.
Yes. Because
it's when you're bored, it's when you turn off your phone, it's when you close the laptop, when you step away from the computer, it's when you turn off the video game console, when you turn off the Nintendo.
Yeah.
It's when you get away from all the noise and the distractions and you just sit with yourself in silence and let yourself get bored and get to that point of uncomfortability. That you can start letting stuff. That's when stuff starts to bubble up, and that's why we turn to this stuff, so we get distracted and don't have to.
Yeah. So there's even scripture with this too. There's so much scripture, but my brain immediately goes to 1 Thessalonians, where Paul says, "Make it your goal to live a quiet life, minding your own business and working with your hands, just as we instructed you before." But I don't necessarily know if it meant like don't live a busy life or don't speak up for yourself. But that he literally means a quiet life. I mean, I even think of, I think it's 1 Kings 19 or 20. You brought up Elijah in the first recording.
I did.
And I remember Elijah, after he's done running, he goes and God tells him, wait in a cave. And, the loud thunderstorm comes in. God's not there. The loud earthquake comes in. The super hot and powerful fire comes in. God's not there. But God waits for the quiet and the stillness. God has a voice that he doesn't need to yell. Well, he can. And his voice would be the loudest things that we ever hear. But he chooses to wait for a whisper.
Yeah. It's a good word. Yeah, I think like did you have another redeem, Jordan, that you were going into? For maybe on a little bit of a lighter note, another thing, because we're hitting you hard and heavy here.
Just before you get to that, just a good read. A good read for this before we move on would be the Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer, or To Hell with the Hustle by Jeff Bethke. They've got a great thing with that. They're both phenomenal books.
I agree. The Hustle is a horrible dance.
Do the hustle.
Forget the hustle. Do the Mario. Swing your arms from side to side. Okay, let's keep moving.
And now we're ready for the lighter note.
On the lighter note, I was just wondering because he referenced the running.
Is this lighter note going to be fire?
What?
Is this lighter note going to be fire?
Wah, 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 wah. Fire emoji. No. The star. So the star power at the end, right? Mario and Luigi are finally together again, right? Because Luigi jumps out of hiding to come protect Mario, stop the fire, and they grab the star together. Is the star power like being filled with the Holy Spirit?
Absolutely.
The Spirit of God?
You can kick all of your enemies in the butt.
Well, that maybe not that part. Not the part. Yeah, not that necessarily. But the part specifically when they tag team and they were like speed running.
Mm-hmm.
It brought me back. He mentioned running that I did the first episode. It brought me back to when the part of the scriptures where it talks about the power of the Lord came on Elijah. This was after the whole prophets of Baal thing.
Finally
the fire.
Found the reference.
I found it.
I'm
I found
so
it.
proud of
I found
you.
it. Took us a second episode, 3 hours later, but I found
recording.
it. Yes, that one. Sorry, second episode, second recording. And after this all happens, it says, meanwhile, the sky grew black with clouds, the wind rose, the heavy rain started falling, and Ahab rode off. So he's on a horse or something, rode off to Jezreel, and then the power of the Lord came on Elijah, and tucking his cloak into his belt, he ran ahead of Ahab all the way to Jezreel, which I think is a pretty significant distance.
Clearly, he had a couple mushrooms.
So I'm wondering, does he get? That's right.
Too,
Is he like glowing, dun, 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 as he's like just like running past him?
See,
and then I want to know, did Ahab see him run past him? It's like, what is that? Is that an ostrich? What's happening right now? They have ostriches in the Middle East? I don't know. Anyways,
definitely something.
So I was like, oh, that'd be interesting to kind of talk about with somebody. And the other thing I had was that I lost it. Where'd it go? I found it. When Peach and Mario are kind of making their way from the Mushroom Kingdom to the Jungle Kingdom,
making their way downtown.
Paces. And something homebound. I don't know the rest of the words. I shouldn't have.
I eat pace and I'm homebound.
I shouldn't have joined in because I don't know the lyrics.
Okay.
I can't think of that without thinking of Terry Crews from what is it, White Chick?
But anyway, I was saying that Peach stops and they're like paused and they're just looking at something really cool because it's kind of going through the different ecosystems and scenery of different Mario games as they're walking through. It's really cool. And
we need an entire separate episode for Jordan to give all the Easter eggs.
Yeah, we do. And she says, I'll never let anyone ruin this about the kind of the creation, right? Or the scenery. And I thought that was, I don't know. I just thought about like ultimately God who's in control, I feel like has the same attitude. Like, hey, I'm not going to let anyone or anything ruin this, what I've created. Not just the creation, but like us as people, his loved ones, or the ones he loves.
In our intimacy with him.
Right. And
he won't,
And so much so that, right, he sent his only son to die the death we deserved, right? Took our sin and shame for us and then rose again victorious over death. So we have access to that resurrection with Christ. And that's the ultimate way that God's like, I'm not going to let anyone ruin this. Like, Satan, you're not going to ruin this because I'm in control. I'm doing something about it. I'm working. I'm moving. Like, get out of the way. I'm not letting
the power of
anyone ruin this.
A covenant, which my wife could talk way more about this because she knows, like, she took a class just on the covenantal relationships in the Old Testament. But like, you see the very first covenant that God made with Abraham, where in the dream, they took the different animals, cut them in half and put one half on each side. And the whole premise of like a covenant in the Old Testament was basically, may I be treated like these animals, be torn in two and ripped to shreds. Should I break my vow, my covenant, my promise with you? Yeah.
Do either one of you have anything else redeem wise that you want to pop off before?
I did want to mention with your Holy Spirit comment. With the star. With the star.
Superstar.
My mind just goes to Pentecost and Acts.
Yeah.
And,
Like
like everybody's filled with the Spirit, and they start speaking in other languages,
Uh-huh.
and I just imagine they just start going.
That's
Like,
right.
yeah.
Or I just thought about, you're talking about that too. I just thought about the Shadrach, Meshach, and Benny.
Oh yeah.
And Benny.
Isn't that what it's from? The
VeggieTales?
VeggieTales?
I don't know.
Shadrach,
Rack, Shack, and Benny. Yeah.
Shat.
Abednego. What's his name?
Abednego.
Yeah. Or Daniel in the Lion's Den. Like
Abednego,
super,
yeah.
just the star. You know what I'm saying? Just like, guys, just like, there you go. Get the star. I don't know. Pop culture redemption. There you go. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Again, we're gonna have the first ever Uncultured Swine trivia game up on our YouTube channel.
We would have done it again, but we already knew the answers.
That's right. So check that out. Look for that. We'll put it in the show notes probably
Wherever
at
it
some
is you're
point.
seeing this.
Yeah. Subscribe, follow. What's the other things? Rate,
And
review, share. So many verbs.
Please share.
Do them all.
If you like what you hear, or if you don't like what you hear, you know what? You should share anyways because we're preaching the word of Jesus over here.
There you go. You better preach. Yeah. Tell your friends if you like it. If you don't like it,
Tell your enemies.
tell your enemies. And if you do like it, tell your enemies anyways.
Yeah,
Right?
love
your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. Right?
Yeah.
Just get the word out if you want to. You don't have to. No pressure. But we're counting on you. I just want to let you know. Good luck.
Good
Yes.
luck.
We're all counting on you.
Indeed.
I just want to let you know.
You can do it.
Good luck. We're all counting on you. Any final words?
Yes. Life is like Rainbow Road. It's extremely difficult to traverse on, and sometimes you fall off, but sometimes it's enough to just stop and look and enjoy and admire the beauty around you.
Nailed it.
And sometimes
well
if you
said.
if you
Well
play the
said.
Nintendo 64 version, it's easy because there's guardrails on the entire thing.
I don't know what that metaphor is for, but it works.
Yeah.
What is life with guardrails? I don't know. I don't know if there's a.
We really went off the rails here.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did.
That's my fault.
I think
That's
we
my
fell
bad.
off the Rainbow Road.
That's my fault. Well,
Where's the cloud guy to come save us?
Lakitu.
Is that his name?
It is.
that's right.
Fine.
That's why you don't need guardrails because,
Because
drive
God,
off.
God will catch you.
you just put your back on.
Trust the
Come here.
catcher.
Come here. I got you. Let's
Trust the
try
catcher.
again.
Yeah.
Let's try again. Try again. Keep going. Keep going.
Try again with our Midwest goodbye.
There you go.
Well,
So good luck, everybody. We're all counting on you. And just remember that, yes, God is at work even in pop culture. So just keep looking.
goodbye.